Good morning, my beloved friend. The first light is stretching quietly across the horizon, brushing the rooftops and the fields with the gentlest gold. The air is cool, the streets still half asleep, and in this rare silence, the world feels almost holy. It is the hour before the noise begins, the hour when heaven leans close enough to hear even the faintest whisper. Somewhere in this stillness, the soul finds its truest voice. Maybe this morning finds you wary. Perhaps you have woken from a restless night, carrying a heart that feels too heavy for another sunrise. I once met a man who described such mornings. He said it felt like standing in a house after a storm, walls still standing, but everything inside overturned. His job was gone, his marriage crumbling, and his faith, he admitted, felt like a candle drowning in rain. He told me he sat at his kitchen table at dawn, hands shaking around a cup of coffee gone cold, whispering, "I do not know how to start again." And yet, that same man, weeks later, said something changed one quiet morning. He did not find a miracle in the sky or a voice in the thunder. He found it in the pause when he decided to stop explaining his pain and simply sit with it before God. He said, "The moment I stopped demanding answers and started listening, peace came and filled the silence." Perhaps you have been there too, in the ache of unanswered questions, the exhaustion of waiting, the fear that your prayers echo only back to you. But this morning, I want to remind you, dawn always comes, even when the night feels endless. The light is never late. The turning of darkness into day is not only a pattern of nature, it is a promise of grace. There is something sacred about the early hours. It is if time slows, giving your heart permission to breathe again. The world outside has not yet demanded your attention, and your spirit, if you let it, can finally lift its eyes beyond the weight of yesterday. In these moments, prayer is not a performance, it is a homecoming. It is where we remember that faith is not about never falling, but about always being found. Prayer is not the escape from life's battle. It is the way we step into it differently. When we pray, we do not pretend the storm is gone. We remember who commands the wind. Faith does not erase pain, but it changes how we hold it. It teaches us that strength is born in surrender, that the smallest whisper of trust can move mountains unseen. So, as first birds begin to sing and the light grows stronger on your windowsill, take this as your invitation. Let this morning be more than routine. Let it be a turning point, a threshold between what was and what can be. Do not rush. Breathe deeply. Let the worries settle like dust while your heart stands still long enough to feel the nearness of the one who never sleeps. This is your sacred hour. The world may still be waking, but heaven is already listening. Open your heart now. Lay down yesterday's noise, your anxious plans, your hidden hurts. Let this be the moment you begin again, not in your strength, but in the quiet awareness that you are not alone. The same God who paints the morning sky is waiting to walk with you through this new day. Now, with the peace of dawn resting over us, let us begin the journey of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, the morning light is tender, quiet, and slow to rise. It brushes against my window as if to remind me that another chance has come. I sit here with a heart that still feels heavy, thoughts still tangled from the night, unsure of what this day might hold. I do not bring perfect faith or polished words. I bring what I have, this weary soul, these trembling hands, this small hope that somehow you will meet me here. I have tried to carry too much. I have fought battles that were never mine to fight. and in doing so I have worn myself thin. The fears I keep hidden whisper loudly in the stillness. What if I fail again? What if nothing changes? What if today looks like yesterday? Yet, even as the questions rise, so does the dawn, and I feel the quiet nudge of your presence saying, let it go. This morning is not about proving strength. It is about surrender. So I breathe out the worry that clings to me. I name the things I cannot fix, the people I cannot control, the future I cannot see. One by one, I place them before you. My family, my work, my doubts, my aching places, none of them belong in my clenched fists anymore. I lay them down as the sun climbs higher, trusting that your hands are steadier than mine could ever be. There is something holy about this hour, this in-between space where the world is not yet loud. It feels like standing at a threshold, waiting for the day to begin while heaven watches. I know you see me, not from afar but near, closer than the air I breathe. You see the parts of me that are tired of pretending. You see the faith that flickers, the hope that hides behind fatigue. And still, you stay. You do not turn away from weakness. You meet it with mercy. Teach me how to rest here, in this quiet surrender. Teach me to stop measuring my worth by what I can manage or fix. Help me trust that being yours is enough for today. I do not need to earn the sunrise. It comes freely. I do not need to earn your love. It was already decided before I opened my eyes. Let that truth sink deeper than fear, deeper than the noise that waits just beyond this stillness. I can almost hear the day waking. A bird calls out. A car hums in the distance. The light grows brighter, yet before I rise, I want to linger in this softness where my heart can speak honestly. You know the corners of my soul where anxiety builds its walls. You know the memories that ache like bruises. You know how easily I rush ahead, trying to outrun uncertainty. But you also know the way back to peace. Whisper it again, that I might learn to walk slower, to breathe easier, to believe that I am held. There are things I cannot change, and I admit that helplessness makes me uneasy. Perhaps helplessness is the doorway to faith. Perhaps this is where surrender begins, not in defeat, but in trust. So I choose to trust you with what I cannot carry. I choose to believe that you are already in the hours ahead, preparing grace where I will need it most. I choose to believe that even in the moments that feel empty, you are quietly filling them with purpose. Father, remind me that surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. It is placing every burden into hands that never tremble. It is saying, I cannot, but you can. It is choosing peace over panic, stillness over striving. It is standing in the gentle light of morning and realizing that the battle I feared was already won in ways I cannot yet see. Let this surrender shape the rhythm of my day. When anxiety calls, let me remember this quiet moment. When my thoughts race ahead, pull me back to this calm. When fear tells me I am alone, let me feel again the warmth of your nearness that greeted me with the sunrise. May the peace I feel now not fade when the world stirs awake. May it follow me into every conversation, every decision, every step. I do not ask for perfection in the hours to come, only for presence, your presence steady and kind. I know there will be noise, interruptions, and things that do not go as planned. But help me carry this stillness inside, a small sanctuary untouched by the rush around me. Let every breath remind me that I am not abandoned to my own strength. Let every moment draw me back to dependence, to the quiet confession that I belong to you. The sun is higher now. The light touches the floor, and the room feels awake. I know I must rise soon, but before I do, I want to seal this beginning with one more breath of surrender. Take what I cannot handle, heal what I cannot name, and guard what I cannot see. Let my trust be deeper than my understanding. Let my peace outlast my plans. Let this be the day when faith feels simple again. Not a battle to win, but a relationship to rest in. Dear Heavenly Father, I step into this morning with open hands. I release the need to control, to fix, to predict. I release the tension in my chest and the weight in my thoughts. I release the idea that I must be enough. You are enough. That truth is enough. Let this be where the day begins, in quiet trust, in surrendered strength, in the gentle certainty that whatever waits beyond this door, you are already there. Lord, as the quiet of the morning deepens around me, I feel the gentle echo of the surrender I offered before the sun fully rose. My heart is softer now, my breathing slower, yet there is still a restlessness that stirs beneath the calm. The world outside is beginning to awaken, and I can sense the pull of responsibilities waiting to claim my attention. But before I step into that rhythm, I want to stay here a little longer, to learn the art of stillness not as escape, but as communion. Father, teach me how to listen without hurry. I confess how easily I confuse movement with meaning, how often I fill the silence because I am afraid of what I might hear in it. But you are not found in the noise. You are the whisper beneath it. You speak in pauses, in the hush between thoughts, in the sacred breath that separates what was from what will be. Let me dwell there for a moment, letting the stillness stretch without resistance, letting my heart open wide enough for your peace to settle. The morning light is no longer shy. It spills through the window, washing the walls in a soft glow. I realize how long it has been since I let quiet be a friend rather than an interruption. The calm is not empty. It is full of presence. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, the faint hum of the world seems to carry a hidden grace. I remember that you are not a distant God demanding words. You are near, waiting for attention rather than performance. So I quiet my thoughts. I stop rehearsing the worries that try to steal the sweetness of this hour. I stop bargaining with the day ahead. I simply sit, breathing in the silence like light entering the lungs. I imagine my soul as still water, reflecting the morning sky. When ripples appear, anxious thoughts, old regrets, I do not chase them away. I hand them to you, one by one, until the reflection clears again. God, show me that stillness is not the absence of life, but the birthplace of it. Remind me that strength grows not from constant motion, but from the deep roots of rest. I have spent so many days running after what is already within reach, trying to earn peace while peace has been offering itself freely all along. You have never asked me to prove myself, only to pause long enough to remember who you are and who I am in you. This quiet moment feels sacred, like standing at the edge of something vast yet safe. I can almost sense heaven leaning close, not demanding anything, simply being here. And maybe that is what I need most, to stop striving for holy moments and start recognizing that they are already around me. The morning itself is a prayer, each ray of light a word of blessing, each breath an unspoken hallelujah. Stillness is not easy. Lord, my mind is a restless traveler. Even now, it wanders toward unfinished tasks, conversations replaying in fragments, the subtle hum of anticipation that always seems to tug at peace. But you are patient. You wait through the wandering, through the noise that rises again and again. You do not scold. You invite, and so I return. Once more, to the simplicity of your presence. Here, I am enough because you are enough. As I listen, I begin to notice things I missed before: the steady rhythm of my heartbeat, the warmth of light on my hands, the quiet hum of creation beginning its daily praise. Every detail feels like a reminder that life continues under your watch. Nothing in this stillness is wasted. Every moment is heavy with grace, even the ones that seem motionless. The peace I sense is not fragile. It is alive, breathing softly in time with my own. Father, teach me to carry this stillness into the movement that waits ahead. Let it be a pulse beneath every task, a rhythm that steadies my steps when the day grows loud. When the rush returns, help me remember this silence and the truth it holds, that you are not far away. You are woven into the moments I rush past, speaking softly through everything I overlook. I ask that this morning calm would remain even when the world begins to demand more than I can give. Let it anchor me when the pace quickens. Let it steady my words when impatience tries to rise. Let it remind me that the purpose of the day is not to conquer it, but to walk through it aware of your nearness. The stillness I have tasted here is not meant to end with the morning. It is meant to become the quiet strength behind every action, every word, every breath. Lord, I want to live today from the inside out, not reacting to what happens, but responding from peace. When noise surrounds me, help me hear your whisper beneath it. When pressure builds, remind me to pause instead of push. Let my spirit stay tuned to the same gentle frequency of this dawn. Steady, soft, and sure. Let stillness become the space where courage is born, where kindness finds its footing, where grace takes form. The light outside has grown bright now, filling every corner. The morning no longer waits, it calls. Yet, inside me, a new awareness lingers. Stillness is not something I leave behind when I rise from prayer. It rises with me. It becomes the quiet confidence that today will unfold exactly as it should, because the one who made the morning is already in it. So I lift my eyes to the day ahead. And though I know it will bring its share of noise, I will not fear losing this calm. It lives deeper than sound, deeper than sight. Held in the steady truth that you are here, I am ready to move, but I will move slowly, aware, listening. The stillness you have given is not the end of this moment. It is the beginning of the day's song, the first note of a melody that I will learn to hum as I walk forward in peace. Father, as the calm from the morning stillness settles deeper, I begin to notice how fragile peace can feel when the world stirs to life. The quiet moments of dawn are fading into movement. Footsteps echo in distant streets. Voices begin to rise. And already the day seems to reach toward me with demands I cannot fully meet. Yet even as the sound grows, I remember that you are the keeper of my soul, the one who never slumbers, the one who guards both the night and the day. The light through the window has changed, but your care has not. I can rest in that truth even while I move. There is comfort in knowing that while I slept, you watched. Every fear that circled my mind through the night, every thought I could not silence, every worry I did not know how to lay down, none of them escaped your attention. You are the watcher who sees not with suspicion, but with love, not waiting for failure, but covering me with protection. I rarely notice. I think of all the unseen dangers you have already deflected, the paths you have quietly cleared before I even rose. How many mercies happen in silence, while I rush unaware through my hours. Lord, help me live today with the awareness that I am not unguarded. Teach me to walk as one who knows the covering of divine protection. Let this confidence not become pride, but humility, a soft gratitude that recognizes how fragile I am and how faithful you remain. When fear tries to disguise itself as caution, remind me that I am safe not because the world is kind, but because you are present. When shadows linger at the edge of thought, remind me that the light within me is stronger than any darkness that tries to press in. Sometimes I forget how much you shield me from what I cannot see. I focus on the things that go wrong, the prayers that seem unanswered, the moments that feel unfair, and I miss the quiet miracles that happen without announcement. The near accidents that never came to pass. The words unsaid that could have wounded. The doors that closed before harm entered. You stand between me and the harm that would undo me, and still I worry as if I were alone. Forgive me for the blindness that comes from self-reliance. Open my eyes not just to the visible blessings, but to the invisible watch of your care. God, I do not want fear to rule my decisions today. I do not want anxiety to disguise itself as wisdom, or doubt to pretend it is realism. Let courage rise in me, not loud or reckless, but calm and steady, born from trust in the one who guards my path. If I must walk through uncertain spaces, let me remember that your light travels before me. If I meet hostility, remind me that love is still my greatest defense. Let me live as one who believes that protection is not the absence of hardship, but the presence of divine strength in the midst of it. The image of you as a keeper comforts me. Picture a watchman standing on the walls through the night, eyes fixed beyond the horizon, waiting for the first light to break. That light has come now, and I realize that you have not stopped watching simply because it is day. You keep watch over my coming and my going, over my words and silences, my work and my rest. You guard not only my body, but my thoughts, my hopes, my fragile faith that flickers with the shifting wind. Lord, keep me from slipping into distraction. The small compromises, the careless words, the quiet envy guard me from the subtle dangers that grow unnoticed. Protect my mind from the noise that numbs compassion, my heart from bitterness disguised as wisdom, my spirit from fatigue that dulls awareness of your presence. Let me walk alert, but not afraid. Let me notice the gentle boundaries you draw around my life, not as limits, but as safety. I think about how easily I forget that your protection is not just around me, but within me. You have built a refuge inside the soul where peace can dwell even when storms rage outside. Help me remember to retreat there when the day becomes heavy. Teach me to return to that sacred interior where your presence waits, calm and unchanging. There, in the inner room of the heart, no fear can enter uninvited. There, I am kept not by walls but by your love. When I step into the day, Father, remind me that being guarded by you does not mean isolation from others. It means I can love more freely because I am not ruled by fear. It means I can give generously without worrying about loss. It means I can forgive without calculating safety, speak truth without trembling at the cost. Because you watch over me, I can walk open-handed into every moment, trusting that whatever reaches me has already passed through your care. You are the keeper who sees beyond what I can measure. You stand at the gate of time, knowing what is ahead, and knowing where I might stumble, preparing grace before I arrive there. Even in the unexpected, your protection has already gone before me. I do not need to live guarded by suspicion or controlled by what-ifs. I am guarded by you. The difference is profound. My security is not built on control. It rests on relationship. You hold me, and that is enough. As I rise from this moment of quiet reflection, I carry with me the assurance that I am watched over with tenderness. The morning is brighter now. The world has fully awakened. Yet inside, a still confidence remains. I do not have to look over my shoulder or anticipate disaster. I can walk through open doors and unknown paths, knowing that the one who watched through the night continues to watch through the day. So I step forward. Father, into the living rhythm of this new morning, I trust you're keeping to be steady, unseen, but strong. Let my actions today honor the protection you give. Let my peace bear witness to the safety that comes not from circumstance, but from your constant care. Keep me mindful, gentle, and brave beneath your watchful eye. Until the evening comes, the light softens again into the quiet of your presence, where I will remember once more that I was never out of your sight. Lord, as I stand in the calm assurance of your watchful care, I realize how often I still try to fight the battles you have already claimed as yours. Even after resting in your presence, there is a part of me that wakes each day ready to struggle against uncertainty, against fear, against the weight of what I cannot control. Yet this morning, as the sunlight stretches farther across the room, I feel you whisper again that the war is not mine to win. My hands tremble because they were never meant to hold a sword that belongs to you. Father, I confess how easily I forget that surrender is strength. I plan. I defend. I argue with invisible fears, believing that vigilance equals victory. But you never asked me to conquer through anxiety. You asked me to stand firm, to trust that what threatens to undo me cannot outlast your purpose. So here I am, laying down my armor made of worry, my shield built from stubbornness, my weapons forged from pride. I place them all before you, not in defeat, but in reverence. I no longer want to be my own defender. I have fought too many unnecessary wars within myself. The battle between faith and fear, between hope and exhaustion, between trust and control, it rages quietly, unseen by others, yet loud in my mind. But this morning, I choose peace over panic. I choose to believe that when I am still, you are at work. When I stop striving, heaven moves on my behalf. The battle is not mine, and that truth brings both relief and humility. Lord, I give you the battles that have drained me for years, the ones that replay like old songs I cannot silence, the disappointments I rehearse, the fears I keep feeding, the people I keep trying to fix. You know them all, and you know the wounds they have left. I release them now, not because I understand how you will redeem them, but because I finally trust that you will. Let me not pick them up again when the day grows long and doubt returns. Teach me to recognize peace as a decision, not an accident. Sometimes I forget that your victories rarely look like mine. I want quick results, visible change, the kind of triumph that others can see. But you fight differently. You win through patience, through love that disarms, through mercy that confuses the enemy. You do not crush what is broken. You rebuild it quietly. You do not silence opposition with power, but with grace. Remind me that your ways are not delay, they are depth. Your timing is not distance, it is preparation. Every pause holds purpose if I wait with faith. God, when the day confronts me with situations that feel too heavy, remind me of this truth. When someone's words cut deep, when plans fall apart, when fear whispers that I am losing ground, let your spirit speak louder. Let me remember that nothing is truly lost when it rests in your hands. Even my weakness can become a weapon of victory when surrendered to you. The battle belongs to you, and you never lose. The air feels warmer now, and the morning hum has become steady. I hear the sound of life unfolding outside my window, cars passing. Footsteps quickening, birds calling to one another as if the world itself believes in your provision. Everything continues because you hold it together. If you sustain all creation without struggle, why do I doubt your ability to sustain me? Help me see that trust is not passivity. It is participation in your plan without resistance. It is saying yes even when I do not see how. Father, I want to stand differently today, not with clenched fists, but with open palms lifted high, not as a soldier exhausted by striving, but as a child confident in your covering. Let my heart be unafraid to face what comes, knowing that nothing arrives without passing through your will. Let my words carry courage, not because I am fearless, but because I am convinced of your faithfulness. There will be moments today when I will forget this peace. I know how quickly my mind runs back to worry. So when that happens, meet me there again. Whisper your truth louder than my panic. The battle belongs to God. Let that phrase echo in my thoughts like a melody that steadies my steps. When I feel pressure to fix what is broken, let that reminder stop me. When I sense the urge to defend myself with sharp words or frantic decisions, let that truth pull me back to stillness. I want my life to be a quiet testimony of trust. Let others see in me not the absence of struggle, but the presence of surrender. Let my calm become a witness to your strength, my gentleness a reflection of your victory. Use my life as a reminder that peace is not found after the storm and is found in the one who commands it. Even in the moments that shake me, help me stand firm, knowing that you have already declared the outcome. God, give me courage to wait when I cannot act, to hope when I cannot see, to love when I am misunderstood. These are the battles you fight through me silent. Steady, unseen by the world, but seen by you. You do not measure victory in noise, but in trust. You do not call me to exhaustion, but to endurance born from faith. Every time I choose to rest in you instead of reacting in fear, another chain breaks, another field of peace expands. So this morning, I release every unfinished fight into your hands. I trust that you are already where I fear to go, already working in places I cannot reach. The battle is yours, and I am safe within the fold of your strategy. Let my soul stay anchored in that assurance as the day unfolds. Let every challenge become an opportunity to watch you move, not proof that I must. And as the light climbs higher in the sky, let this truth rise with it: the victory was never mine to claim. It was always yours to reveal. Father, as the truth settles in that the battle belongs to you, something inside me begins to breathe again. The tension that once gripped my chest starts to release, and what fills the space is gratitude, quiet at first, then growing stronger, like a song finding its melody after a long silence. I realize that my strength is not found in control or understanding, but in worship. Worship is the place where fear loses its voice. It is where anxiety bows and peace rises. It is where the soul, weary from fighting, finds rest not in surrender to defeat, but in surrender to love. Lord, teach me how to let gratitude lead my day. I do not want to wait for everything to be right before I praise you. I want to praise you right here, in the middle of the uncertainty, in the middle of what I do not yet understand. Worship does not ignore pain, it transforms it. It takes sorrow and turns it into a song of trust. It takes doubt and turns it in declaration. It reminds me that you are still good, even when life is not. As I sit in this early light, I begin to name the small mercies I once overlooked. The steady rhythm of my breathing, the roof above me. The people who care, though they may not say it often. the strength to rise once more. Every blessing, no matter how ordinary, becomes sacred when seen through gratitude. The warmth of sunlight against my hands feels like a promise. The sound of life awakening outside reminds me that creation itself worships you without words. The earth spins, the birds sing, the wind moves, and all of it declares that you are faithful. Sometimes, worship feels unnatural when worry is near. My lips want to speak of problems more than praise. But you invite me to sing through the struggle, to turn my focus from what overwhelms to the one who overcomes. So I choose to lift my heart, even if my voice shakes. I choose to let gratitude lead where reason cannot. When I worship, I stop magnifying my fears and start magnifying you. In that shift, I find freedom. God, my worship today be more than words. Let it be the way I carry myself, the tone of my speech, the gentleness in my response, the patience I extend when it costs me something. Let every act of kindness be a verse, every moment of honesty a chorus, every breath of humility a prayer. Make my life a living song that pleases you, not because it is flawless, but because it is sincere. Worship is not about perfection, it is about presence. It is about remembering you are here, in every heartbeat, in every second that unfolds. There are moments when the world feels heavy and dark, when discouragement settles quietly like dust and hope feels small. Yet in those moments, worship becomes a flame no darkness can extinguish. It pushes back despair not through noise, but through remembrance. When I worship, I recall what you have already done, how you brought me through seasons I thought I would not survive, how you turned endings into beginnings, how you proved again and again that no loss is final in your hands. Gratitude becomes armor, and praise becomes a shield that guards my heart. Father, let me never forget that worship is not for when I feel strong, it is for when I feel empty. It fills the spaces where fear tries to live. It reminds me that you are not waiting for me to impress you with words. You are waiting for me to acknowledge you. When I lift my gaze from my problems to your presence, I find perspective again. I begin to see that what feels uncertain to me has always been secure in you. Even now, as the day stretches forward, I want to carry this awareness into every moment. When challenges arise, let my first instinct be to thank you, not to panic. When things go well, let me remember that joy is not luck, it is grace. When disappointment comes, let me sing softly instead of sinking into despair. Worship does not deny pain. It declares that pain does not have the final word. Gratitude turns every circumstance into a doorway for your glory. Lord, I have learned that worship confuses the enemy. When I praise you in hardship, fear loses its hold because it cannot understand joy that comes from trust. The darkness grows uneasy when light refuses to hide. So today, I choose to be that light, not loud or boastful, but steady and sincere. My song will not be one of triumph over others, but of quiet confidence in you. My heart will be a sanctuary that no chaos can invade, a space where your name is lifted higher than my worries. I think of how easily praise shifts the atmosphere within me. Even when nothing outside changes, something inside does. My pulse slows, my thoughts clear, my spirit straightens its posture. Worship reorders my perspective. It reminds me that I am loved, protected, and known. It lifts me from the ground of fear to the firm foundation of faith. It reminds me that gratitude is not weakness. It is warfare fought with open hands instead of clenched fists. God, as I move into the hours ahead, help me to keep this melody alive within. Let praise not be confined to morning, but carried through the afternoon hum. the evening quiet, and even the restless night. When frustration knocks, let gratitude answer first. When weariness comes, let worship become the rest that renews me. When doubt whispers, let the memory of your faithfulness drown it out. Today I will face challenges I cannot predict, but I do not fear them. I know the power that surrounds me when I choose to praise instead of panic. Gratitude turns every problem into a prayer, every burden into a chance to see you move. My song is not about escape, it is about endurance, about believing that you are worthy no matter what. And as I lift my heart again in quiet reverence, I realize that this is where victory begins, not in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of worship. Father, after the sweetness of worship, a quiet honesty settles in. Gratitude has opened something deeper inside me, and now I can see the places that still need healing. The light that fills the morning no longer just warms, it reveals. And in that gentle clarity, I feel you inviting me to bring forward what I have been hiding. There is no shame in your presence, only truth. You do not expose to condemn, you reveal to restore. So I come with open hands and an uncovered heart, ready to be washed clean once more. Lord, I confess how easily I drift from you even while speaking your name. I confess the impatience that rises when things move slower than I want, the quiet pride that hides beneath good intentions, the words I spoke yesterday that carried more sharpness than grace. I confess the thoughts I let linger too long, the comparisons I entertain, the judgments I disguise as opinions. None of this is new to you, yet saying it aloud reminds me that I am not lost beyond reach. The moment I turn toward you, mercy meets me halfway. There are days I try to clean myself up before coming to you, as if you would prefer perfection over honesty. But I am learning that you would rather hear my truth than my performance. You do not ask for rehearsed apologies. You ask for real surrender. So I let down the defenses that only exhaust me. I stop pretending that I am fine when I am fractured. You see through every polished surface anyway. The relief of confession is that I no longer have to hide behind the mask of composure. I can be raw, flowed, and still loved. God, sometimes I fear facing my own heart because I know how messy it can be. Yet the longer I avoid it, the heavier it becomes. So I bring it all to you, the guilt I have carried too long, the regrets that visit when I am still, the memories that sting without warning. Wash them. Father, wash the residue of what I cannot change. Let your forgiveness reach the corners I have kept closed, the places that still whisper shame. Teach me to stop rehearsing failure and start remembering grace. As I breathe and sit in this still moment, I can almost sense the cleansing happening, not as something dramatic, but as quiet release. It feels like a deep exhale, a loosening of knots within my chest. Forgiveness is not always thunder and tears. Sometimes it is the steady reassurance that I am safe to start again. You do not just wipe the slate clean. You write something new upon it. Where guilt once lived, peace begins to grow. Where regret used to echo, hope starts to hum softly again. Lord, help me to see repentance not as a punishment, but as a doorway back to joy. It is not about looking back with despair, but about turning forward with purpose. When I confess, I am not collapsing, I am realigning. I am choosing to walk in rhythm with your heart instead of wrestling against it. Your correction is kindness, not rejection. You do not remind me of my wrongs to shame me. You remind me of them to free me from them. Each time I fall and turn back, I discover that mercy has not moved an inch. There is something sacred about being known fully and loved still. The world teaches me to hide my weakness, to curate my flaws, to keep my imperfections unseen. But you invite me into the opposite, to bring the broken pieces to the surface, to trust that wholeness begins where honesty lives. I do not have to earn forgiveness. I have to receive it. And that, perhaps, is the hardest part. My pride resists the simplicity of grace, yet grace waits patiently until I stop resisting. God, let this morning cleanse not only my conscience but my perspective. Help me see others through the same mercy that you show me. Let confession make me gentle, not guarded. Let it soften the way I speak and widen the way I forgive. If I have wounded someone through carelessness, give me courage to make it right. If I have judged unfairly, remind me how much understanding I have been given. Forgiveness received must become forgiveness extended, or it remains unfinished. The more I sit here, the more I realize that purity is not about being spotless, it is about being transparent. It is the light passing through without distortion, not the absence of scars. I do not ask to be flawless, only to be true. Make my heart clear enough that others might glimpse your reflection in it. Let nothing in me block the view of your kindness. Let my words carry the scent of someone freshly forgiven. Someone who has walked through the river of grace and come out lighter. Father, I thank you for not tiring of my return. Each confession could be a reminder of how much I fail. Yet you turn it into a reminder of how much you love. Your patience is endless, not because I am deserving, but because your nature is mercy. You delight not in perfection, but in restoration. You meet me in the mess and call it sacred ground. Every time I confess, I find not accusation, but embrace. The sun outside has climbed higher, and the morning feels alive again. There is a brightness not just in the sky, but within me. I feel lighter, freer, as though the air itself has changed. This is what cleansing does. It makes room for peace to return. I know I will falter again, but I also know the way back. It begins here, in this honesty, in this meeting where guilt turns into gratitude. As I prepare to step into the world, let this sense of renewal follow me. Let forgiveness not stay in this quiet moment, but shape the way I move through the day. Let me be quick to confess, quick to forgive, slow to judge, and slower to forget grace. Let my heart remain open, tender, and teachable, for the same love that washes me clean this morning will guide me through every hour ahead. I rise not carrying yesterday's weight, but wearing mercy fresh as the light of this new day. Father, the peace that follows confession feels like standing sunlight after rain. Everything around me seems clearer, as if the air itself has been washed. I am no longer carrying the weight of what I have done. Yet a quiet question rises inside me: who am I now, without the guilt that once defined me? The silence after forgiveness can feel unfamiliar. Like a new beginning I am unsure how to inhabit. But in this stillness, I sense your voice reminding me that I am more than what I have confessed. I am yours, holy and without condition. Lord, I have spent much of my life building identities that crumble under pressure. I have tried to be who others needed me to be: competent, kind, strong, successful, but somewhere in the process, I have misplaced the person you designed me to be. I have worn masks to earn acceptance, spoken words that sounded holy but felt hollow, and sought approval in places that never had the power to name me. Yet you have called me by a name that the world cannot alter. Before I spoke my first word, before I learned shame or success, you called me beloved. There is a freedom that comes from remembering that truth. I am not the sum of my achievements or the shadow of my failures. I am not defined by how others perceive me or by the seasons that broke me. My worth does not fluctuate with circumstance. You do not love me because I am useful. You love me because you chose to. And in that choice, I find my peace. When the world demands that I prove myself again and again, your whisper answers, "You are already mine." God, let this awareness become the foundation of my day. When insecurity tries to return, when comparison knocks quietly at the door of my heart, remind me that I have nothing to prove. My value is not earned by productivity or lost by imperfection. Let me walk with the steady confidence of one who belongs, not arrogantly, but securely. I do not want to move through the world desperate for recognition. I want to move through it radiating the quiet assurance that I am known and loved beyond measure. I think of how often I measure myself against impossible standards. I chase affirmation, mistaking applause for affection. But your love does not depend on applause. It remains steady when the crowd goes silent. It reaches me in moments when no one sees, when my best efforts go unnoticed, when I question whether my life has meaning. In those unseen hours, you remind me that my identity is not something I build, it is something I receive. Lord, teach me to rest in that identity today. Let me stop performing for love and start living from it. When I speak, let it come from the fullness of being loved, not from the emptiness of needing validation. When I work, let it be from joy, not fear of failure. When I love others, let it be without calculation, for only those who know they are loved can love freely. Strip away the layers I have built to feel worthy, and reveal again the simple truth. I am already enough because you are enough. There is such beauty in belonging to you. It quiets the frantic voice that says, I must keep proving my importance. It silences the internal critic that never rests. You look at me through eyes that see potential beyond my past, purpose beyond my mistakes. You do not define me by the moments I stumbled, but by the grace that lifts me afterward. You call me child, and in that word, every other label loses power. Father, when I forget who I am, remind me who you are. When I am tempted to define myself by comparison, draw my eyes back to you, the source of identity that cannot be shaken. The world will call me many things, some flattering, some cruel, but your word is the one that endures. You say I am chosen. You say I am free. You say I am yours. Let those truths anchor me deeper than the noise of opinion, deeper than the ebb and flow of circumstance. Today, I want to carry this identity into every encounter. Let people see in me not pride but peace, not perfection but presence. Let them sense that my steadiness comes from somewhere unshakable. When I speak, let my words carry warmth. When I act, let compassion flow naturally. I want to live as one who knows she is loved, not as one still trying to earn it. Let my confidence be quiet but contagious, rooted not in arrogance but in gratitude. God, there will be moments when I forget. I will look at others and wish for what they have. I will doubt my place when life feels small or unseen. But even in those moments, pull me gently back to this truth. I am not forgotten. My name is engraved on the palm of your hand. I am part of a story larger than my own, written with grace that does not erase mistakes, but redeems them. Even when I cannot see progress, you see purpose. The sunlight outside has grown stronger, spilling through the window like a reminder of the promise I carry within. I feel ready now, not because I have it all figured out, but because I finally know where I stand. I stand in love that does not waver. I stand in the truth that my identity is secure. I stand not as someone striving to be enough, but as someone already declared worthy. As I step into the day ahead, let this understanding be my armor and my peace. Let it shape the way I think, speak, and move through the world, a living reflection of what it means to be known, named, and beloved. Lord, the truth of being loved and known brings a deep calm. Yet within that calm stirs a new longing to walk rightly, to live wisely, to make choices that align with the heart that made me. Yesterday's mistakes have been washed, and today feels like a blank page waiting for your handwriting. I do not want to rush ahead without your voice leading me. The day stretches before me like an open road, and though I cannot see where it bends, I trust that you already stand at every turn. Father, I need your wisdom, not the kind that inflates my confidence, but the kind that anchors my soul. The world offers its noise opinions, urgencies, promises of clarity that fade as quickly as they come, but I am learning that your guidance rarely shouts. It whispers. It waits in stillness. It asks me to quiet the chaos long enough to hear. And so I come again to this quiet place, asking not for a map of the entire journey, but for a single step lit clearly before me. I have spent too much energy fearing wrong turns. I have hesitated when I should have moved. And I have rushed when I should have waited. Teach me to trust your timing more than my own logic. Let patience become part of my obedience. If today brings choices that feel uncertain, let peace, not pride, be the compass. If I sense unease in my spirit, let me pause long enough to ask why. I would rather move slowly in step with you than run swiftly toward regret. Lord, remind me that guidance is not always direction. Sometimes it is restraint. Sometimes it is the gentle no that spares me from heartbreak I cannot yet foresee. Sometimes it is the closed door that feels cruel until I learn what waited beyond it. Help me to see your boundaries not as rejection, but as protection. I want to walk in wisdom that trusts closed paths as deeply as open ones. The same love that leads me forward can also hold me still, and both are grace. God, when I ask for signs, remind me that you have already given me scripture, the lamp that never burns out. Teach me to read not just for knowledge, but for encounter, to find you between the lines, to recognize your tone, to understand that your word is not ancient history, but present guidance. Let your truth shape my instincts, so that obedience becomes less of a struggle and more of a reflex. Write your wisdom into my reactions, my habits, my decisions, so that even when I do not consciously ask, my life still moves in harmony with you. The morning continues to unfold, and light spills further into the room. I think of how sunlight does not flood all at once, but expands gradually, revealing piece by piece what was hidden. Your guidance feels the same. You do not reveal everything, because you know I would try to control it. You reveal enough for trust to grow, enough to take one more faithful step. You guide through moments rather than maps, because relationship is built in the walking. Father, help me to listen not only with my ears, but with my life. When peace settles after a decision, teach me to recognize it as your affirmation. When unrest lingers, help me see it as a gentle redirection. Keep my heart tender enough to be moved, but strong enough to stay when you ask me to wait. Let discernment be born from intimacy, not anxiety from time spent with you, not from the pressure to be right. I know your guidance does not always come through thunder or fire. Sometimes it comes through the quiet wisdom of others. Help me to recognize your voice in conversation, in counsel, in the kindness of friends who speak truth when I am blind to it. Guard me from the arrogance that thinks I must hear you alone. Surround me with people who walk closely with you, whose words carry peace rather than confusion. and when I receive their wisdom. Teach me humility to listen fully before defending myself. God, I do not want to move through this day chasing signs or fearing silence. I want to trust that you are speaking even when I do not perceive it. If I lose my way, bring me back gently. If I stray, whisper my name until I remember home. If I fall, let grace be the hand that lifts me before I sink too deep in shame. You are not a guide who stands distant with folded arms. You walk beside me, patient with my stumbles, kind in your corrections. As I think of the choices that await me today, some small, some perhaps shaping my future, I ask for clarity, born not of certainty, but of communion. Let me move through this day aware of your presence, not obsessing over perfection, but choosing faithfulness. When I speak, let wisdom temper my tone. When I act, let love inform my purpose. When I wait, let hope hold my heart steady. Your guidance is not about efficiency. It is about alignment. It is the quiet confidence that wherever I go with you, I am already in the right place. The light outside is bright now, full and unwavering. It no longer feels like morning hesitating, it feels like day declaring its arrival. That is how your guidance feels when I finally stop resisting. It is not a command shouted from the heavens, but a warmth that fills the soul, reminding me that I am not wandering. I am walking with you, step by step, breath by breath, guided by a hand that never loses its way. And even when the path narrows or disappears into shadow, I will remember this moment, the light, the peace, the knowing, and I will trust that the same hand that leads me now will not let me fall. Father, as your light continues to fill the day, I feel the quiet pull of purpose calling me forward. The peace of guidance still lingers, yet now it asks to take form, to be lived, not only felt. The hours ahead will be filled with tasks, conversations, and decisions, and I want each one to become an offering. Let the work of my hands and the thoughts of my mind rise as worship, not performance. Let the ordinary moments carry the fragrance of devotion. Lord, I confess how easily I separate the sacred from the practical. I treat the morning as prayer as holy, and the day's labor as obligation, forgetting that you never made such a divide. You walked dusty roads, carved wood with rough hands, and called fishermen into purpose. You found holiness not only in temples, but in the everyday rhythm of diligence and love. Teach me to see my work as continuation of that story, a place where heaven and earth quietly meet. There are tasks waiting for me that feel small, unnoticed, and repetitive. It is tempting to see them as meaningless, but you remind me that nothing done in love is wasted. Every detail, every hidden effort, every quiet act of integrity holds eternal weight. Let me work not for applause, but for alignment with honesty, patience, and gratitude as my tools. Help me remember that purpose is not measured by scale, but by sincerity. Whether I am building something grand or simply showing up faithfully, let both be pleasing in your sight. God, I ask for strength not only to work hard, but to work well. Let excellence be my form of worship, not driven by perfectionism, but by respect for the gift of ability. When I grow weary or distracted, steady my hands and renew my focus. When frustration creeps in, remind me that grace works through imperfection. When progress feels slow, let me remember that faithfulness is its own success. The seeds planted today may bloom unseen, yet they are never lost to you. Father, help me carry gentleness into every task. Let my tone with others reflect the patience you show me. Let deadlines not make me forget kindness, and ambition not make me neglect compassion. Work can so easily become a battleground for ego, but I want it to be a garden of service. Whether I speak to colleagues, strangers, or friends, let my words carry peace instead of pressure. Let my effort bring calm rather than chaos. Make me mindful that people matter more than progress. There are moments when I will be tempted to complain, to feel unappreciated, or to compare my path with others. Guard me from the bitterness that steals joy from calling. Remind me that I do not work for the approval of the world, but for the delight of the one who sees in secret, even when no one thanks me. You see, even when results seem invisible, you record faithfulness as worship. Let that awareness keep my heart soft and my spirit steady. Lord, show me how to find you in the middle of the noise, when the day grows loud and responsibilities stack higher. Remind me that your presence is not left behind. In morning prayer it travels with me. Teach me to pause within the motion, to breathe prayer into the routine. Let my thoughts return to you between tasks, not out of guilt but desire. In that rhythm of returning, let peace become the soundtrack beneath productivity. Sometimes, the work feels too heavy, and fatigue begins to dull my spirit. In those moments, whisper again that I am not defined by output. You did not design me to burn endlessly, but to live rhythmically, to work and rest, to pour and refill, to labor and trust. Remind me that even you rested after creating the world. Not because you were tired, but because you wanted to model completion. Teach me the same wisdom to stop when the day is done, and let grace fill what remains unfinished. God, as I move through this day, my creativity reflect your image. You are the first creator, shaping beauty from chaos. Let me echo that divine pattern by bringing order and kindness wherever I go. Whether I build with words, ideas, or actions, let them carry traces of your craftsmanship. Let diligence be my devotion and integrity my song. When challenges come, help me respond not with frustration, but with faith that every difficulty can become a doorway for growth. There will be moments when I stumble or forget, when stress speaks louder than gratitude. But even then, you will not withdraw. You meet me in the middle of my fatigue and remind me that holiness is not found in perfection, but in persistence. You take the fragments of my effort and weave them into something meaningful. Every moment offered in love becomes sacred, no matter how small. Father, as the hours unfold, keep my heart aligned with yours. Let me remember that work was never meant to enslave, but to express purpose. Help me balance diligence with delight, excellence with empathy. Let my joy in you be visible through how I treat others, how I handle pressure, how I finish what I start. And when evening comes, let me look back not at how much I accomplished, but at how faithfully I walked with you through each moment. The sunlight outside has shifted again, stretching longer, brighter, stronger. The world moves forward in rhythm, and I want to move with it, not hurried, not hesitant, but wholehearted. Each task before me is another chance to serve, another chance to reflect your character through action. Let my hands be steady, my mind focused, and my spirit gentle. Let my work be prayer in motion, a daily hymn composed not with words, but with effort done in love. Lord, as the rhythm of the day continues, I feel the hum of movement all around me, the ticking of time, the endless cycle of effort, the quiet urgency of progress. It seems the world worships speed, yet in your presence I am reminded that true growth rarely rushes. Every seed takes its time to push through the soil. Every sunrise waits for its turn to rise. And so, Father, I come to you asking for what the world often forgets: patience, the kind that trusts your timing more than my own desire to see results. Father, I admit that waiting has never been easy for me. My heart grows restless when prayers linger unanswered, when dreams take longer than I planned, when progress hides behind invisible walls. Yet, I know that impatience is a symptom of mistrust. It assumes you have forgotten what you promised. But you never forget. The delays that feel cruel are often the pauses that protect me. You withhold not to punish, but to prepare. Teach me to see your waiting as a work of love. The hours ahead may not unfold as smoothly as I expect. Some plans will shift, some efforts will seem wasted, and some moments will test my endurance. But even in those, you are shaping something deeper than success. You are cultivating character. The world values speed and outcome. You value faith and surrender. Help me to remember that waiting is not wasted when it refines the soul. In the soil of patience, unseen roots of faith grow strong. God, when frustration rises, slow my thoughts before they spill into complaint. When I am tempted to rush ahead, whisper that your pace is perfect. Let me breathe before reacting, listen before deciding, and rest before striving. Every delay can either harden my heart or deepen my trust. Let it do the latter. Transform my impatience into intimacy. Let the waiting become a conversation instead of a void. There are moments when silence feels unbearable, when I crave direction and hear none. In those moments, remind me that silence does not mean absence. It often means you are nearer than words can describe. You are not ignoring my prayers. You are aligning my heart. Sometimes you withhold answers until I am ready to live them. You do not rush transformation because you know depth requires time. Father, I look back and see how many prayers, once unanswered, became the very blessings that defined my life. The job that did not work out led to a calling that fulfilled me. The relationship that ended opened space for healing. The door that closed pushed me toward one I never knew existed. Patience, in hindsight, has always been mercy. But I forget that truth in the middle of the waiting. Remind me today that faith is not only believing you can, it is trusting you even when you delay. Lord, let patience shape my relationships as well. Teach me to listen without interrupting, to forgive without keeping score, to love without deadlines. Patience is not passivity, it is strength under control, peace under pressure. Let my gentleness be proof of trust when others test my temper or disappoint my expectations. Remind me how patient you are with me. The same grace I receive must flow outward, or it is incomplete. In this hurried world, help me value stillness. Let me pause between tasks long enough to remember who I am working for. Let my rest be as sacred as my effort. For both are gifts from you. The temptation to rush will come in subtle ways through ambition, anxiety, or comparison. But I do not want to build anything that costs me peace. What you start, you will finish, and what you promise, you will fulfill. My part is to stay steady while you work beyond sight. Sometimes I imagine you as a master artist, painting the canvas of my life stroke by stroke. I see only fragments, colors that make no sense up close, but you see the full picture. I grow impatient in the middle of the process, wanting to rush to the final image. But you remind me that beauty takes time, and even the messy parts belong to the masterpiece. If I trust your hand, I can rest in every unfinished place, knowing you are not done yet. God, make patience not just something I endure, but something I embody. Let it be the quiet strength beneath my kindness, the steady rhythm beneath my faith. Let me learn to find joy in progress too small to measure, in steps too gentle to notice. Help me to celebrate what is growing, even when it has not yet bloomed. You are working in ways I cannot calculate. My task is not to control the timing, but to stay faithful within it. As the light shifts outside and morning deepens into day, I feel a sense of calm settle in me, a surrender, not of will, but of worry. The rush fades. The urgency softens. I remember that every season has its reason, and every delay holds hidden purpose. I can wait because I am not waiting alone. You wait with me, not as a distant observer, but as a father who delights in seeing his children grow strong in trust. So I walk into this day slower, steadier, more aware. I do not need to grasp or hurry. I can let each moment unfold at the pace of grace. When impatience whispers that time is running out, I will answer that eternity is on my side. You are never late. You are always right on time. And today, I choose to live like I believe it, to walk in rhythm with you, content in the process, patient in the becoming, trusting that the God who began a good work in me will not stop until it is complete. Father, as I carry the quiet resolve of patience into this new hour, I feel how the stillness that once unnerved me has begun to change shape. What used to feel like delay now feels like depth. The same silence that once echoed with questions now hums with peace. It is as though you are teaching me that true strength is not loud or hurried, but rooted, calm, and enduring. In the still places of life, I find not weakness but foundation. Lord, the world often tells me that motion equals progress, that to stop is to fall behind. Yet, in your rhythm, stillness is sacred. It is the place where faith breathes and courage grows unseen. Like a tree drawing life from hidden roots, I am learning that the power to stand tall begins below the surface. When I rest in you, I am not doing less. I am becoming more. Stillness is not the absence of effort, it is the alignment of soul and purpose. God, teach me to meet stillness without fear. When life pauses, when answers slow, when outcomes linger just beyond reach, help me to remember that delay does not mean denial. You do some of your greatest work in the spaces between. I often crave movement, but you know when to keep me still, when to prepare the heart before the harvest. You are not idle in my waiting. You are shaping me to receive what endurance alone can hold. There is a strength that rises in stillness, the kind that anchors instead of reacts, that listens before speaking, that trusts instead of demanding. I want to live from that place. Help me to quiet the noise that insists I must always fix, solve, or strive. Let my soul learn to rest in your sufficiency. The same power that calms storms can calm my thoughts. The same voice that shaped galaxies speaks gently within the silence of my heart. Father, I think of how even creation mirrors your rhythm. The oceans pause between tides. The earth rests between seasons. The stars move in perfect timing without haste. If the universe you designed does not rush, why do I? Let me live in harmony with your pace. Let peace become my posture, not my reward. Let stillness be the soil where courage grows. Sometimes, I mistake stillness for emptiness because it does not look productive. But you remind me that even the smallest seed lies unseen before it breaks through the ground. Growth often happens where no one can see it. You are teaching me to value the invisible progress of the heart, the strengthening of character, the deepening of faith, the maturing of trust. What you build in silence lasts longer than what the world builds in noise. Lord, Help me resist the temptation to fill every quiet moment with distraction. Let me find you in the pauses, the in-between breaths, the moments before words, the calm between tasks. Teach me to listen not only for instruction, but for intimacy. Let stillness be a conversation where my spirit listens as deeply as it speaks. In those pauses, I feel your nearness more clearly than in the rush of activity. I know that stillness takes courage. It requires surrender to what cannot be controlled. It means trusting that your strength is enough when mine runs out. Help me to lean into that surrender without guilt or fear. Let me be okay with being still, knowing that you are moving where I cannot. Strength is not in endless striving, but in confident rest, believing that the one who holds the world can surely hold me. God, when my mind grows restless and my hands itch to force solutions, remind me to breathe. Slow me down until I can hear again the steady rhythm of your faithfulness. Let each heartbeat remind me that you are sustaining me moment by moment. I do not need to manufacture peace. I only need to make room for it. Peace is not something I create, it is someone I trust. There will be moments when the world around me feels chaotic, when storms rise without warning, when expectations press too heavily. In those times, let me find my footing in stillness. Help me remember that silence is not surrender, it is strategy. You fight battles in the quiet where fear cannot follow. You strengthen me not by removing storms, but by teaching me to stand calm within them. Father, let this calmness travel with me beyond this moment of prayer. Let it follow me into conversations that could turn tense, into challenges that test my patience, into decisions that require discernment. Let stillness not be an escape from responsibility, but a source of wisdom for it. Let the peace within me influence the spaces around me. May my composure become a quiet testimony that you are near. As the light outside grows warmer and stronger, I can feel the stillness inside me take root. It is not passivity, it is power under restraint. A gentle strength that does not need to prove itself. I realize that true rest is not found in doing nothing, but in knowing that I am held. I do not need to force what is already secured. You are here, unchanging in motion and in pause. So I rise into this moment with unhurried grace, ready to face what comes not with tension, but with trust. The stillness I carry is my shield, my strength, my song. It reminds me that even when I am motionless, heaven is still at work. And as I move forward into this day, may my calmness bear witness to a deeper truth that strength is not found in striving but in standing still, quietly anchored in the presence of God who never leaves. Father, from the stillness you have taught me, a deeper challenge now emerges: the courage to trust again. Stillness may quiet my heart, but trust stretches it. It asks me to release control, to believe that goodness still waits ahead even after disappointment. There is a trembling honesty in that surrender. For though I know you are faithful, there are parts of me still afraid to believe fully, still wounded from the times when what I hoped for fell apart. Yet here I am, choosing again to open my hands. Lord, I have learned that trust is not a one-time decision, but a daily returning. Every sunrise asks me to decide whether I will lean into faith or fall back into fear. Each day brings new opportunities to practice what I claim to believe: that your plans are better than my own, that your timing carries wisdom I cannot see, that your ways, though higher, are never cruel. But sometimes, trust feels like walking blindfolded through the unknown, guided only by a voice I must choose to recognize above all others. God, I admit how often I have built walls instead of altars. When prayers seemed unanswered, I shielded myself with cynicism, convincing my heart it was safer not to expect too much. I told myself that detachment was wisdom, that hope was naive. But you never asked me to protect myself from you. You asked me to trust you beyond understanding. You cannot be known from a distance. You must be experienced through surrender. And so, with trembling faith, I lower the walls again. Father, help me to release the need for explanation. I do not have to understand everything to believe that you are working. The desire to know why has often robbed me of peace, yet the choice to trust restores it. Let me find comfort in mystery, knowing that what I cannot see does not contradict your goodness. It simply surpasses my sight. You are not withholding clarity to punish me, but to strengthen my faith in the unseen. Sometimes I forget that trust does not always feel peaceful. It often feels like standing on the edge. Heart racing, choosing to step forward anyway. It is not blind, it is brave. It remembers the past proofs of your faithfulness and uses them as bridges to cross the present unknown. When fear tells me that history might repeat itself, remind me of the times you turned loss into life. The times you took what I thought was an ending and wrote redemption instead. Lord, teach me to trust not just in outcomes, but in your character. I do not want to believe in you only for what you give, but for who you are. Even when your hand feels hidden, your heart remains near. You have never failed to meet me in the middle of what I feared. Even the disappointments that once broke me now reveal their quiet purpose. Each one was shaping a resilience that could not be built in comfort. Trust is not fragile when it is rooted in you. It bends but does not break. It wavers but does not vanish. Let me live from that kind of strength, a faith flexible enough to move with the winds of change, yet anchored deep in truth. When I feel uncertain, let me return to your promises instead of my predictions. When doubt whispers, let gratitude answer. When I cannot see the path, let memory remind me of how far you have already led me. God, trusting you does not mean I stop feeling fear. It means I stop being ruled by it. Help me to walk through anxiety instead of avoiding it. Knowing that courage is not the absence of trembling, but the choice to move anyway. When I hesitate, remind me that you do not ask for perfection, only for participation. You do not require flawless faith, only willingness. Even a trembling yes is enough for you to work with. There are things I still long for, dreams unfulfilled, prayers unanswered, relationships unresolved. But perhaps trust means holding them loosely, allowing you to shape them according to purpose rather than preference. I want your will more than my comfort. Let me trust you enough to let go of timelines and expectations. Let me find peace not in what happens, but in who holds the outcome. Father, when trust feels heavy, let me lean on the truth that you have never failed to finish what you began. You have turned deserts into rivers, ashes into beauty, grief into growth. You have proven over and over that you can redeem anything surrendered. So even now, as I face uncertainties I cannot name, I choose to rest in the knowledge that your love has not changed. What you allow, you redeem. What you begin, you complete. The light outside has softened now. No longer the bright urgency of morning, but the warm glow of promise. It feels like the world itself is whispering that faith is not wasted, that every act of trust leaves ripples of grace I cannot yet see. I breathe deeply, letting the quiet assurance fill my chest. I do not need every answer to feel secure. I only need to remember who holds them. So I step forward again, perhaps slowly, perhaps cautiously, but willingly. My heart is not unbroken, but it is open. My faith is not flawless, but it is alive. I will trust again, not because I am fearless, but because you are faithful, and that is enough. Let this courage to trust mark the rhythm of my day, turning every uncertainty into invitation, every fear into faith, and every unknown into a sacred opportunity to see your goodness once more. Lord, from the place of renewed trust, a softer truth begins to surface, the call to forgive. It rises quietly, unexpected yet insistent, reminding me that trust in you cannot coexist with bitterness toward others. Father, I sense you asking me to release what I have held tightly. The memories of words that wounded, the shadows of betrayal that linger still, the quiet anger I have justified in the name of self-protection. Forgiveness is never easy, but neither is carrying resentment. It corrodes peace, dulls joy, and builds walls you never meant to stand. Father, teach me that forgiveness is not forgetting but freeing. It does not erase what happened. It releases its hold on my heart. It is not a denial of pain, but an act of faith, a declaration that your justice is better than mine, that your healing runs deeper than my revenge. I confess how many times I have replayed old hurts, rewriting them in my mind until they feel fresh again. Each replay was an attempt to control what I could not change. But today I choose release, not because they deserve it, but because I need to breathe again. God, you know the names and faces behind my pain. You saw every moment when kindness met cruelty, when loyalty was met with silence, when trust was broken without explanation. You were there, and you did not turn away. Help me to see that forgiving them is not excusing them. It is entrusting them to you. Your justice is perfect. Mine is tainted with pride and emotion. When I let go, I am not losing power. I am gaining peace. There are wounds still tender, memories that flare without warning. Sometimes, forgiveness feels like pouring salt on those open places. But you remind me that healing requires exposure. A wound kept covered cannot breathe. So I bring it into your light, not to relive it, but to release it. Let mercy do what anger never could. Let grace rewrite the story my pain keeps repeating. Lord, teach me to forgive as you forgive, not in pieces, but completely. Not temporarily, but eternally. When I fall short, remind me that grace is a process. Forgiveness may begin as a decision long before it becomes a feeling. Some days I will have to choose it again and again, until peace replaces resentment and compassion grows where bitterness once took root. I trust you to work in those hidden places where my will struggles to follow my words. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is myself. The choices I regret, the chances I missed, the moments I failed to love well, they whisper accusations long after others have moved on. But you, Father, do not keep score. You do not replay my mistakes. You redeem them. Help me to see myself through the same mercy you have already extended. Let self-forgiveness become an act of obedience, not indulgence. For if you have released me, who am I to keep myself chained? God, forgiveness is not weakness, it is warfare. It breaks cycles of pain passed from one heart to another. It silences the echo of hatred before it grows louder. It turns victims into victors not by vengeance, but by freedom. Let me be brave enough to choose that freedom every time bitterness tempts me with false comfort. Bitterness promises strength, but delivers poison. Forgiveness promises surrender, but brings life. Father, help me extend grace to those who will never apologize. Help me to pray for those who may never understand the hurt they caused. Let me love without condition, not because it is deserved, but because it is divine. If I am to reflect you, I must love as you love, unearned, unending, unstoppable. Let forgiveness flow through me like a river that refuses to dry up, cleansing not only my soul but the soil around me. There will be moments when memories return uninvited, when emotions rise again with sting and weight. In those moments, remind me that forgiveness is not undone by feeling it, is sustained by choice. I can feel pain without feeding it. I can remember without reliving. I can acknowledge without anchoring. Your grace gives me that power. You never asked me to forget. You asked me to be free. As I think of those I have wronged, humility stirs. I see how often I have been the one needing forgiveness, not offering it. How often my words wounded without intent. My silence spoke more loudly than compassion. Let me not only forgive but seek forgiveness. Let reconciliation become part of my worship. Where possible, let me make peace. And where it is not, let me release peace within. Lord, let forgiveness change the way I see the world. Let it make me softer, not smaller, kinder, not naive. Let it teach me that strength and tenderness can coexist. The hands that let go of grudges are free to build again, to bless again, to hold again. Bitterness binds, but love liberates. I want to live light, not weighed down by yesterday's offenses. The morning sun stretches fully now. Unfiltered, gentle but steady, its warmth feels like mercy made visible, light touching every corner. Even the ones I tried to hide. I understand now that forgiveness is not an event, but a sunrise that happens within the heart, again and again, until every shadow fades. And so I lift my eyes, steady and renewed, carrying this truth into the day. Forgiveness does not make me weak. It makes me whole. It is not the end of justice, but the beginning of freedom. It is not forgetting what hurt, it is remembering who heals. Father, as forgiveness settles gently into my spirit, I feel space opening where resentment once lived. It is quiet, wide, and strangely light. Into that space, you pour something new, compassion. It is the natural outflow of forgiveness. The grace that looks outward instead of inward. Where bitterness once built walls, compassion builds bridges. It does not erase boundaries, but fills the space between them with understanding. Lord, teach me to carry that kind of love into every corner of my day. Lord, compassion begins with seeing, and I confess how often I pass by the pain of others without noticing. The world rushes, and I rush with it, missing the sacred moments when kindness could have been a small miracle. I want to see again, as you see, to notice the wary eyes of a stranger, the quiet sorrow behind someone's smile, the exhaustion beneath another's strength. Teach me to pause long enough to care, to listen without fixing, to offer presence instead of pity. God, help me remember that compassion is not weakness. It is strength restrained by gentleness. It does not demand recognition, nor does it expect return. It is the courage to stay tender in a world that numbs itself to survive. Let my heart remain open, even when it feels vulnerable. You did not design love to be safe. You designed it to be transformative. The same grace that forgave me now asks me to extend mercy to others, not because they earn it, but because I have received it. Father, I want to love beyond convenience. It is easy to care when it costs little, but real compassion always requires investment. It means stepping into someone's pain without needing to be the hero, choosing empathy over ease, and patience over pride. Let my compassion be practical, not poetic, expressed in how I serve, how I speak, how I respond when no one is watching. Teach me to carry grace not just in words but in action. There will be moments today when I encounter impatience, indifference, or cruelty. Help me to respond differently. Let my tone disarm what anger ignites. Let my gentleness break through what defensiveness hides. Compassion does not need to win. It only needs to understand. When my first instinct is to judge, remind me that every person carries unseen stories. The rude may be broken. The distant may be grieving. Everyone is fighting something. Teach me to meet hostility with calm, not because I am passive, but because love is my weapon and peace my defense. Lord, remind me that compassion also belongs to those closest to me. Sometimes, I give strangers my kindness, but withhold it from those I love. Familiarity can dull empathy. Help me to notice the needs in my own home, the small sighs, the quiet fatigue, the unspoken pleas behind familiar faces. Let my words toward them be softer, my patience longer, my forgiveness quicker. Love begins not in grand gestures, but in daily tenderness. God, there are times when compassion feels costly, when it drains rather than delights. In those moments, renew my strength. Let me draw from your heart rather than my own reserves. Your love never empties, never grows tired. When I start to feel numb, remind me to return to you, the source that never runs dry. Let my service flow from connection, not obligation. Let kindness never become performance, but remain an honest reflection of the one who first loved me. I also ask for compassion toward myself, not indulgence, but gentleness. There are days when I am too harsh with my own heart, expecting perfection where you only ask for faithfulness. Help me treat my own weakness with the same mercy I offer others. If I can see myself through your eyes, I will find it easier to see others through love instead of judgment. Father, compassion has a way of multiplying. One act ripples outward farther than I can see. A word of encouragement can revive a weary soul. A small kindness can shift an entire day. Let me not underestimate the quiet miracles that mercy creates. You work through the smallest gestures, through the smile, given when none was expected. The patience offered when it was not earned. The grace extended when it was least deserved. Let me be the vessel through which those ripples begin. There is a sacred joy in compassion, a joy the world cannot manufacture. It does not depend on applause or outcomes. It blooms simply from giving. Each time I choose empathy over apathy, heaven rejoices quietly within me. It feels like alignment with purpose, like harmony between heaven and earth. When I serve others, I am not losing energy. I am touching eternity. Lord, as the day unfolds, help me live with this awareness that compassion is not something I perform, it is who I become when I stay close to you. The closer I draw to your heart, the softer mine becomes. Let that softness not be mistaken for fragility, but seen as strength refined by love. Let my compassion carry dignity, not desperation. Humility, not hesitation. And when I give, let it never be to feel holy, but to reflect holiness already present in you. The morning has fully awakened now. The sunlight no longer hesitates, it shines with quiet confidence. That same light lives in me, kindled by forgiveness, strengthened by patience, sustained by love. I step into this day not to prove goodness, but to share it. Let my compassion be a silent sermon, my kindness a prayer without words. Wherever I go, may others feel seen, valued, and lifted simply because I carry a heart shaped by yours. And in that, Lord, let your joy flow through me like light steady, gentle, and unending. Father, as compassion flows through me, like morning light stretching across quiet fields, I sense another current rising beneath it, peace, deep and unexplainable. It does not come from comfort or certainty, but from surrender. It arrives quietly. What? Without announcement, like dawn overtaking the horizon. Lord, this peace is not the fragile calm the world offers. It is something sturdier, born from trust, forged in faith. It holds me steady even when the wind shifts. It whispers that everything, even what I cannot understand, rests in your hands. Lord, there are moments when peace feels like a distant memory, when headlines shout chaos, when relationships strain, when the weight of the world presses too close. Yet, even then, you invite me not to escape but to anchor. Peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in the presence of the one who commands them. When anxiety begins to pull at the edges of my mind, remind me that fear is loud, but faith is louder. Let your still voice rise above every noise that threatens my rest. God, I often confuse control with peace. I think if I plan enough, predict enough, and protect enough, I can secure calm. But control is a counterfeit comfort. It never lasts. The peace you give begins where control ends. It teaches me to breathe in uncertainty, to stand unafraid in the unknown. I do not have to understand everything to rest in your goodness. You have seen every outcome before I have even begun. If I can trust your love, I can release the need to manage what only you can hold. Father, let peace guard my heart today like a gentle sentry, standing watch over my thoughts. When worry approaches, let gratitude intercept it. When doubt whispers that I am alone, let memory answer with your faithfulness. Teach me to practice peace not as a mood, but as a mindset. Not as escape, but as engagement. Peace is active. It chooses stillness when everything else urges reaction. It believes before evidence, hopes before outcome, loves before guarantee. There are mornings when peace feels close and tangible, and others when it hides behind the clouds of circumstance. In those gray hours, help me remember that peace is not gone, it is simply waiting to be reclaimed. I do not need to chase it. I need only to return to you. Like a river that always knows its source, my heart finds rest when it flows back into your presence. You are not just the giver of peace. You are peace itself. Lord, I know that peace is not passive. It requires daily choice to forgive when anger feels justified, to trust when fear feels safer, to stay kind when bitterness calls. Peace asks me to love in difficult places and to listen in heated moments. It is not weakness. It is divine resilience. It absorbs hostility without losing clarity. It turns conflict into compassion, tension into transformation. This is the kind of peace I long to carry, the kind that changes atmospheres simply by being present. God, I ask for peace not just for myself, but for the world around me. There are wars raging far away and wars raging quietly inside hearts. Let your peace move like a tide across nations and neighborhoods, across homes and hospital rooms. Let it reach those who have forgotten what rest feels like, those whose nights stretch long with worry, those who believe peace is for others, but not for them. Use me, however small I may be, as a vessel of that peace, to speak gently, to act kindly, to live calmly in a restless age. Sometimes peace feels fragile in the face of pain. There are losses I cannot explain. Prayers unanswered. Moments that shake the foundation of faith. Yet even in the ache, I have known your calm presence holding me when nothing else could. Peace is not pretending the wound does not exist. It is trusting that healing is happening beneath the surface. It is the assurance that even in heartbreak, you have not abandoned me. Father, help me carry this peace into the noise of daily life. Let it be seen in how I handle delay, in how I speak when provoked, in how I walk through uncertainty with quiet confidence. Let my peace be contagious, not because I am unbothered, but because I am unshaken. When others see calm where chaos should reign, let them see you. Let my life be a living reminder that peace is possible even here. Even now, the morning has matured into fullness. The light outside is no longer soft, it is strong, steady, unwavering. I feel it reflect the peace within me, the same peace that surpasses understanding, that does not need reason to exist. It is not fragile because it does not depend on circumstance. It comes from the unchanging heart of a faithful God. And so I walk forward, shoulders relaxed, spirit still, carrying the quiet strength of one who knows that even if storms return, I am already anchored, for where you are, peace remains. Father, as peace settles deeper into my spirit, it begins to make space for something even more enduring, hope. Not the fragile kind that depends on outcomes, but the living hope that breathes even in uncertainty. It is quiet but strong, like a flame that refuses to be extinguished, even when surrounded by shadows. Lord, this hope is not born from what I see, but from who you are. It survives disappointment, outlasts delay, and whispers life into places that once felt beyond revival. Lord, waiting is the place where hope is tested most. It is where faith matures or fractures, where patience either deepens or fades. Waiting stretches me beyond comfort, yet you never waste the stretching. Every delay becomes an altar where trust is refined. I have come to see that waiting is not a punishment, it is preparation. You use the in-between to strengthen the unseen, shaping my heart for what you are still building. Teach me to wait not with anxiety, but with anticipation. God, there are promises I hold close, some whispered long ago, others still too tender to speak aloud. They have not yet come to pass, and sometimes the waiting feels heavy, almost like silence pressing on my chest. But you are never still even when I cannot see motion. The roots of your plans grow deep before the branches break the surface. What looks like delay from my view is often your mercy in disguise, making sure what comes will not crush me. Father, I admit how often I try to accelerate what only time can reveal. I measure progress by speed, but you measure it by surrender. I want to move ahead, to see completion, yet you call me to stay and learn the rhythm of trust. Hope is not about forcing doors open. It is about believing they will open when the moment is right. When impatience whispers that nothing is happening, remind me that growth is taking place in the dark, unseen but unstoppable. Hope is a defiant thing. It chooses to believe even after evidence has disappeared. It stands on the edge of despair and declares that light will return. It does not deny the night, but anticipates the dawn. That is the kind of hope I want, the kind that survives disappointment, that rebuilds after loss, that does not crumble under delay. Let my hope be stubborn in all the right ways, unwilling to let fear write the final word. Lord, when I am tempted to give up, help me to remember how far hope has carried me before. It has walked me through grief, guided me through uncertainty, and lifted me from despair. You have always proven that endings are never the end with you. There is always a hidden renewal, a quiet resurrection waiting behind what I thought was over. Let me live with that kind of expectation, not naive, but deeply rooted in the evidence of your faithfulness. God, I know that hope is not passive. It acts, even while it waits. It keeps showing up, keeps believing, keeps loving when nothing guarantees return. Let me embody that kind of endurance today. When circumstances discourage me, let gratitude keep me grounded. When fear rises, let faith lift my gaze. When discouragement whispers that it is useless, let memory remind me of the miracles that once seemed impossible. Hope is not denial, it is defiance in the face of despair. Father, teach me to carry hope for others, too. There are hearts around me weighed down by uncertainty, those who have prayed for years without answer. Those who have lost the strength to keep believing. Let me become a reminder for them, a small reflection of your unwavering promise. Let my words breathe encouragement, and my presence carry calm. Hope shared multiplies. It spreads quietly like light through open windows. Use my faith to kindle what flickers in someone else. I also ask, Lord, for the grace to hope in myself, not in my strength, but in your work within me. I am still growing, still learning, still being reshaped. Some parts of me feel unfinished, but you are not done. Hope reminds me that the story of my life is still unfolding, that every day holds potential for redemption. Even my failures are soil where new things can grow. You waste nothing, not time, not pain, not tears. Everything surrendered to you finds purpose again. The day outside is bright now, the kind of light that feels steady rather than sudden. It mirrors what I feel within a slow, strong hope, rising without rush. It no longer shouts for answers. It hums with trust. I understand now that waiting is not empty when you are in it. It is full of quiet miracles, the softening of pride, the strengthening of faith, the deepening of love. So I will wait, not with despair, but with devotion. I will keep my hands open, my spirit ready, and my heart lifted toward promise. For the same God who began this story is still writing it. And even when I cannot see how, I know this: every delay still carries purpose, every silence still holds love, and every waiting heart is still being prepared for something far greater than it can yet imagine. That is enough for today. That is hope alive. Father, as hope continues to steady my heart in the waiting, another realization blooms quietly beside it: gratitude. It is the thread that ties all things together, the gentle rhythm that keeps faith alive while I wait for what I do not yet see. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into sacred ones. It reminds me that joy is not found at the destination, but along the way. Lord, I feel you inviting me to live not in constant longing, but in continual thanksgiving. Lord, I admit that I often chase after what is missing, rather than honor what is already here. I wake with prayers for what I want, and sometimes forget thank you for what I already have. But even now, as I pause in the stillness of this morning, I realize how surrounded I am by blessings. I rarely notice the breath in my lungs, the pulse of life within me, the warmth of light across my face, the quiet safety of this space. Gratitude begins where awareness awakens. Teach me to see again. Really see. God. Gratitude transforms how I interpret everything. The same challenges that once felt like burdens become lessons when viewed through thanks. The people I took for granted become reminders of grace. Even the struggles I wish I could erase reveal purpose when I look closely enough. Thankfulness does not change circumstances, it changes sight. It softens the heart and clears the eyes until even the smallest good becomes visible again. Father, let gratitude be more than an occasional response. Let it become my posture. I want it to live not only in my words, but in my habits. Let it shape the tone of my speech, the way I greet others, the way I carry myself through difficult days. When disappointment whispers that I lack, let thankfulness answer that I have enough. When frustration threatens to rise, let remembrance pull me back to the truth of your provision. Gratitude is not denial, it is declaration. You have been good, you are good, and you will remain good. There are things, Lord, that I once resented, but now thank you for the closed doors that redirected me, the heartbreaks that deepened my empathy, the unanswered prayers that protected me from lesser paths. Gratitude grows best in hindsight, but I want to practice it in real time, not only after I see the outcome. Teach me to give thanks in the middle, to bless what feels unfinished, to honor the process as much as the promise. God, sometimes gratitude feels hard to hold when pain is fresh. In loss, it seems almost unnatural to say thank you. Yet even then, gratitude becomes a form of courage, a quiet defiance that refuses to let grief steal faith. It says, even here, there is still something good. It does not erase sorrow, but holds it alongside joy. It finds beauty in survival, meaning in endurance, and hope in the memory that love once filled the space where absence now lingers. Father, gratitude draws me closer to you because it reminds me of your fingerprints everywhere, in laughter shared over morning coffee, in the grace of a second chance, in the peace that comes after tears. You are in it all. The act of giving thanks reopens my awareness of your presence. It shifts my focus from what I lack to the abundance that has always been mine in you. Gratitude is not an emotion I wait for. It is a discipline I choose. And through that choice, joy quietly returns. Lord, help me to express gratitude not only upward but outward. Let me thank the people you have placed in my life, the ones who love without conditions, the ones who challenge me to grow, even the ones who test my patience and teach me grace. Each life that crosses mine is a thread in the tapestry of purpose you are weaving. Let me speak appreciation freely, without hesitation, before time steals the opportunity. Gratitude unspoken is gratitude unfinished. There is something holy about living thankful in a world that constantly demands more. Gratitude slows the rush, silences comparison, and steadies the soul. It allows me to enjoy what is before me rather than mourn what is not. It transforms waiting into worship and work into offering. It reminds me that every moment, beautiful or broken, can still become praise if I choose to see you in it. God, let this gratitude shape the rhythm of my day. Let it begin in the quiet of morning, spill into every conversation, linger in every decision, and end in the calm of night. Let it guide my responses when I am provoked, and ground me when I am tempted to complain. Gratitude does not mean everything is perfect. It means I am present enough to see your goodness even when it is hidden beneath imperfection. The sunlight outside glows softer now, no longer the sharp light of morning, but a golden warmth that settles over everything it touches. It feels like grace, radiant and steady, painting the ordinary world in sacred hues. I realize that gratitude is the same. It changes nothing, yet changes everything. It turns routine into reverence, struggle into strength, waiting into wonder. So, Father, I lift my heart in quiet thanks, not because everything is easy, but because everything is meaningful. You are here, in this moment, and that alone is reason enough to give thanks. Let this awareness stay with me through the day ahead, turning each breath into blessing, each step into prayer, and each thought into quiet praise. For gratitude is not the end of worship, it is the very heartbeat of it. The sound of the soul remembering that even now, all is gift. Father, gratitude has opened my heart like a window at sunrise, and through it, light pours in steady, warm, undeniable. It feels as if each moment of thankfulness has pulled back another curtain between me and you. The more I give thanks, the more I see. The more I notice your goodness, the more radiant the world becomes. Lord, I now understand that living in your light is not about perfection. It is about awareness, about keeping my soul toward you even when shadows fall nearby. Lord, your light is not harsh. It does not expose to shame, but to heal. It reveals truth gently, showing me both the cracks and the beauty within them. In your light, I see who I am, imperfect but loved, wary yet chosen, fragile but filled with purpose. The same light that shines upon my flaws also shines through them, reminding me that transparency is not weakness. It is how grace travels outward. Help me to walk honestly in that light, unhidden and unafraid. God, there was a time when I feared the brightness of your truth. I wanted to control how much of myself was visible, to show only what was safe, polished, or strong. But light cannot bless what it cannot touch. Only by stepping fully into it can I be changed. So I surrender my need to appear whole and allow you to make me whole instead. Let every shadow within me become a canvas for your brilliance. What once felt like failure can now reflect forgiveness. What once seemed broken can now refract beauty. Father, teach me to live as a bearer of this light, not merely a receiver. Let my life radiate quiet goodness into the spaces I enter. When others walk in discouragement, let the peace you have placed within me shine without words. When bitterness fills the air, let kindness become the lamp that softens it. Your light is not meant to be contained, it moves. It multiplies. It transforms every place it touches. I do not need to force it. I need only to stay connected to its source. Lord, in a world that celebrates noise, your light speaks differently. It does not shout. It shines. It does not demand attention. It simply reveals what is true. Help me to reflect that same quiet confidence. Let me live with humility that draws others not to me, but to you. When people encounter my presence, let them feel peace before they hear my words. Let my actions be the echo of the light you have entrusted to me. There will be days when the world feels dim, when injustice overshadows compassion, when fear grows louder than faith. In those moments, remind me that darkness is not stronger. It is simply the absence of light. Even the smallest flame defies the void. Let me be that flame, steady and enduring, refusing to be extinguished by despair. I may not be able to illuminate the whole world, but I can brighten the space I stand in. God, sometimes living in the light means confronting the shadows I would rather ignore, the quiet envy, the unspoken resentment, the subtle pride that creeps in unnoticed. But your love does not expose to humiliate. It reveals to restore. Each revelation is an invitation, not condemnation. Let me welcome your correction with gratitude, knowing that every part you touch is redeemed, not rejected. Your light never burns to destroy, it burns to purify. Father, help me to stay close enough to you that your light remains constant within me. When distraction tries to pull me into dim corners, draw me back with gentle conviction. Let prayer become my sunrise, gratitude my reflection, and obedience my steady glow. I do not want to merely visit your presence. I want to dwell in it, to let every breath, every choice. Every word be saturated with the awareness that you are near. I also ask, Lord, that you teach me to see others through the same light that now fills me. The eyes of grace see differently. They do not fixate on flaws, but on potential. They do not measure worth by appearance or success, but by the quiet beauty of the heart. Let me look at others as you do, with patience and compassion, remembering that every soul carries flickers of your image. Even in those who seem far from you, the spark remains. Let my love help it grow brighter. The light outside has grown fuller, covering everything in gold. It touches the smallest details, the veins on a leaf, the dust on the windowsill, the still air before noon, and makes them sacred simply by being seen. I realize that this is what it means to live in your light. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is too small. Nothing too ordinary to reflect grace. Every moment can become holy when illuminated by awareness of you. Lord, I want to walk through this day as one fully awake. Let light be both my shield and my song. Keep my heart unclouded by resentment, my mind unshadowed by worry, my words untainted by fear. Let your presence be the constant glow within me, guiding my steps even when the road bends unseen. And as I move through the world today, may others catch glimpses of you in my quiet peace, my gentle responses, my steady joy. Not because I shine on my own, because your light within me refuses to fade. Wherever I go, let darkness retreat not through my strength, but through the reflection of yours. For to live in your light is to live fully, and that is the truest worship of all. Father, as your light fills me, it begins to shape how I move through the world. Illumination without direction would be incomplete, but your light always carries purpose. It not only reveals, it propels. Each day becomes more than a repetition of yesterday. It becomes a continuation of a divine story still being written. Lord, I sense you calling me to walk with intention, to let my steps mirror your design rather than my ambition. Purpose is not something I chase. It is something I walk within when my heart aligns with yours. Lord, sometimes I confuse purpose with success. I measure my worth by visible results, by applause, by progress that others can see. But you remind me that true purpose is quieter. It is faithfulness in the unseen, obedience in the small, consistency in the ordinary. The world demands accomplishment, but you ask for alignment. My task is not to outshine others, but to reflect you exactly where you have placed me. Whether my work feels monumental or modest, if it is done in love, it fulfills its calling. God, help me to remember that purpose is not always dramatic. It lives in the small, the steady, the sincere. It is found in kind words spoken when anger is easier, in listening when silence is heavy, in perseverance when quitting seems reasonable. Each choice is sacred when rooted in love. Even the unnoticed moments matter because you see what others miss. You weave purpose through every detail, like thread through fabric, unseen yet essential to the pattern. Father, give me clarity when confusion clouds my direction. When I stand between doors, unsure which to open, let peace, not pressure, be my guide. I do not want to move from fear of missing out, but from confidence that you will redirect me if I wander. Your guidance is not a riddle to solve, but a relationship to trust. Every step of purpose begins not with action, but with communion, with listening, waiting, and walking in rhythm with your heart. There are times when purpose feels distant, when monotony dulls my spirit, and I question whether what I do matters. But even in those moments, you whisper that purpose is not lost, it is simply disguised. Sometimes the mission is not about changing the world, but about changing the atmosphere around me. A word of encouragement, a gesture of patience, an act of compassion. These are not interruptions to purpose. They are purpose. In the kingdom of heaven, small things hold eternal weight. Lord, I do not want to spend my life chasing assignments and miss the joy of being available. Use me wherever I stand, whether in a crowded place or a quiet corner, whether my hands hold tools or reach in prayer. Let my posture be readiness, my attitude be service. Purpose does not begin with opportunity. It begins with surrender. And when I give you my ordinary, you transform it into something extraordinary. God, remind me that purpose will not always feel comfortable. Sometimes it calls me into unknown waters, where faith must replace familiarity. Yet you never send me where you will not sustain me. If I must walk through difficulty, let me see it not as punishment, but as preparation. Purpose often refines more than it rewards. It stretches me, humbles me, molds me into someone capable of carrying the weight of your calling. Let me not resist the shaping just because it hurts. Father, teach me to walk at the pace of grace. Let me not rush ahead of your timing nor drag behind in fear. Help me to see that every season holds purpose, even those that feel like pauses. Waiting does not mean wasting. You use quiet years to build deep roots. You use detours to strengthen discernment. Nothing surrendered to you is ever lost. Every delay is preparation for divine timing. As I walk through this day, let me be aware that purpose is not a destination. I will someday reach it is the way I live now. It is choosing integrity when no one watches, gratitude when nothing changes, and hope when the path remains unclear. Purpose flows not from striving, but from belonging. When I am rooted in you, my life naturally bears fruit, not by force but by connection. Lord, if I lose my sense of direction, bring me back to simplicity, to love you and to love others. Everything else grows from that soil. The grandest plans mean nothing without compassion. The most brilliant ideas fade without humility. Let love remain the measure of purpose. If my actions bring peace, if my presence brings comfort, if my words bring light, then I am walking where you lead. The sunlight outside is no longer rising, it now stands high, strong and clear. It does not rush, yet it reaches everything in time. I want to live like that light, consistent, steady, purposeful in silence and in strength. I may never know the full impact my obedience, but I trust that you do. Purpose is not proven by applause, but by peace. When I walk where you send me, my heart finds its rhythm again. So today, Father, I step forward into whatever lies ahead, not searching for significance, but resting in it. I am already part of something eternal. My purpose is not to be extraordinary, but to be faithful. Let me walk through this day carrying quiet conviction, gentle strength, and holy direction. For when my steps align with yours, even the simplest moment becomes sacred, and every breath becomes part of your divine design. Father, as I walk in purpose, I realize that every calling eventually leads me back to surrender. Purpose without surrender becomes striving, and striving without trust becomes exhaustion. You never asked me to carry everything alone. You only asked me to carry it with you. Lord, this morning, I bring back to your hands everything I have tried to hold too tightly, the plans I have overmanaged, the fears I have disguised as caution, the outcomes I have tried to control. I am learning that surrender is not giving up, it is giving over. It is returning what was never mine to keep. Lord, you know how hard it is for me to release what I love. I hold dreams as if their survival depends on my grip. forgetting that the same hands that gave them are capable of sustaining them. I have prayed for guidance, but often I have handed you a map of my own design. Yet your will, though mysterious, has always proven wiser than my best strategy. Every time I have let go, I have found that you do not take from me. You free me. You trade my anxiety for peace, my fear for faith, my control for communion. God, teach me to surrender not out of resignation, but out of relationship. You are not a distant ruler demanding compliance. You are a loving Father inviting trust. Surrender is not weakness, it is worship. It is the moment when I choose to believe that your heart is better than my plan. When I stop fighting for what you already promised, I find rest, and in that rest, I begin to see more clearly what you were doing all along. Father, I bring before you the things I still struggle to release, the questions without answers, the wounds without closure, the prayers that linger unanswered. You see the spaces where I try to rush healing, where I push past discomfort instead of letting it teach me. But you work in process, not panic. You write redemption in time, not haste. So I choose again to trust you with the unfinished, to believe that even when I do not understand the why, you are already shaping the how. Surrender also means yielding my image the way I want to be seen, the need to appear strong. You remind me that humility is not humiliation, it is honesty. You never asked me to impress, you asked me to abide. Let me find comfort in being small in the hands of someone infinite. The less I cling to pride, the more room there is for peace. The less I need control, the more freely love flows through me. Freedom begins where the fight to appear in control ends. Lord, some days surrender looks simple. Other days it feels like breaking. Sometimes it is as gentle as a whispered yes. Other times as painful as unclenching fingers from what I thought I could not live without. Yet in both, your grace meets me. You never rush my release. You simply wait until my heart softens enough to trust again. You are patient with my process, tender with my weakness, and faithful with my fears. You do not demand surrender, you invite it. God, help me remember that surrender is not a one-time act, but a daily rhythm. It is the choice to let peace lead instead of pride, faith instead of fear. Each morning calls me to lay down what yesterday tried to reclaim, to hand over again the worries that crept back into my hands overnight. Let surrender become the steady heartbeat of my day, pulsing beneath every thought, guiding every action, reminding me that your will is not a threat to my joy, but the path to it. Father, I also surrender my timeline. You know how I measure progress by deadlines, how I label seasons as behind or ahead. But time is not my enemy. It is your servant. Everything unfolds according to a pace that love has already determined. When impatience rises, remind me that delay is not denial, it is divine design. The waiting is where faith deepens. The trusting is where miracles take root. I do not want to rush what you are still refining. There are moments when surrender feels invisible, when nothing changes on the outside, even though everything shifts inside. Yet I know that invisible faith is still real faith. You honor the heart that quietly yields. The battles I win within myself are victories no one sees, but you. Teach me to value that hidden strength, to find contentment not in outward change, but in inward transformation. For true surrender always begins in the unseen. The morning light outside has softened, no longer climbing but settling. Golden and gentle, it feels like the world itself is exhaling, as if creation knows that control was never its burden to bear. I want to live like that, rooted, surrendered, aligned with your rhythm, to release what I cannot hold and rest in what I cannot lose. Your presence, your love, your promise. So today, I surrender again, not because I have to, but because I want to. I place my plans into your hands, my questions into your wisdom, my future into your faithfulness. Whatever unfolds, let my peace be found not in the outcome, but in the surrender itself. For when I yield fully, I do not fall, I am held. And that, Father, is where strength truly begins. Father, surrender has taught me the beauty of letting go. And now you are teaching me the power of being still. In a world that glorifies motion, you invite me to pause. In stillness, I find you not as a distant voice, but as a quiet presence woven through the silence. The same peace that filled the garden before creation now whispers here in the calm of my heart. It is not the absence of noise, but the presence of trust. Lord, in the quiet, I hear again what the world makes me forget, that I am yours. And that is enough. Lord, you know how restless my spirit can be. Even when I sit in silence, my thoughts race ahead, chasing unfinished plans and unspoken worries. But you do not ask me to empty my mind. You ask me to steady it in you. Stillness is not about doing nothing, it is about noticing. It is the sacred pause where I remember that life is not sustained by effort, but by grace. Each breath I take is proof that I am carried. I do not hold the world together. You do, God. Teach me the art of quiet confidence, the strength that does not need to shout, the faith that does not demand explanation. Let me become like still water that reflects the sky clearly because it is calm. When storms arise, let my peace remain anchored in your presence, unshaken by the winds of fear. The world calls stillness weakness, but you show me it is where courage is born. For only the heart that rests can truly rise again. Father, there have been seasons when silence frightened me, when answers did not come quickly. I mistook your stillness for absence. But now I understand it was never neglect. It was nurture. The silence was where you strengthened my roots, where you spoke in ways too deep for words. Your voice is not always thunder. Sometimes it is a steady heartbeat beneath the noise. Help me to stay long enough in the quiet to hear it. In stillness, I also begin to see how often I fill my life with noise to escape myself. Distraction becomes a shield against discomfort. But when I finally sit in the silence, I find you waiting not with condemnation, but with compassion. You do not rush me through my emotions. You sit with me inside them. The stillness becomes a sanctuary, not a void. It is the place where honesty blooms, where healing begins without the pressure to perform. Lord, let me learn to carry stillness into movement, to walk through the noise without letting it own me. The world will keep spinning fast, but I do not have to spin with it. I can work, serve, love, and speak while remaining inwardly at rest. Stillness is not the end of activity. It is the foundation of it. When my soul rests in you, my actions flow with purpose instead of pressure. I move not from striving but from peace. God, when chaos rises, when news unsettles, when voices clash, when my mind feels like a storm, remind me to breathe. Stillness begins with breath, and breath reminds me of life. You breathed into dust, and it became human. You breathe into fear, and it becomes faith. Every inhale is a reminder that you are near. Every exhale releases what I was never meant to hold. In that rhythm, I find renewal again and again. Father, I also ask for the courage to wait in stillness when everything in me wants to act. There are moments when doing nothing feels unbearable, when I want to fix, solve, or push forward. Yet stillness is often where the miracle begins. It is the unseen moment before dawn, the silent seed before bloom, the pause before revelation. Help me to honor the holy timing of patience. Let me trust that you are working, even when my eyes see no motion. In the quiet, I begin to sense that stillness is not just for my peace, it is for my clarity. When I stop running, I can finally see what matters. When the noise fades, the heart speaks. It reminds me that love is greater than success, that presence is richer than productivity, that peace is worth more than proof. Stillness does not shrink life, it sharpens it. It reorders my priorities until your will feels like freedom again. Lord, as I rest in this calm, I see the light outside stretching across the day, unhurried yet unstoppable. It moves gently, illuminating everything without striving. I realize that is how your spirit works quietly, steadily, transforming without demand. You are never frantic, never late, never uncertain. Teach me to mirror that divine composure. Let calmness become my strength, not my weakness. Let gentleness become my power, not my retreat. And when the day grows loud again, as it surely will help me return to this center, let stillness remain within me even when I move. Let my responses flow from peace, my decisions from wisdom, my actions from grace. In stillness, I no longer need to prove my worth or fear the unknown. I am rooted in something unshakable. So, Father, let this moment of stillness become the well I draw from through the day. When the noise returns, let me remember that peace is not a place I visit, it is a person I know. You are that peace. You are that presence. You are the quiet strength beneath every breath I take. And as long as you are here, I will never truly be alone, restless, or lost again. Father, out of the stillness comes strength quiet, steady, enduring. When everything else fades, faith remains. It does not shout for attention, yet it holds the weight of eternity within it. Lord, as I rise from stillness, I feel that faith is not only a belief, but a way of breathing. It steadies me through what I cannot predict and anchors me when life feels uncertain. It is not loud, but it is alive. It whispers courage when fear would rather have the final word. Lord, you have shown me that faith is not built in comfort, but in contrast. It grows stronger when tested, deeper when stretched. I used to think faith was the absence of doubt, but now I see it as movement despite it. True faith walks forward even when the road disappears beneath its feet. It does not wait for proof. It becomes the proof. And though I cannot see the full path ahead, I trust that every step I take toward you is already secure. God, sometimes I confuse faith with feelings. I think I have lost it when I feel afraid, but faith does not vanish when emotions shift. It lives beneath the surface, steady like roots beneath winter soil. Even when everything above ground looks barren, faith remains alive, waiting for its season to bloom again. Teach me to rest in that truth that faith is not fragile. It is resilient. It survives what the world calls endings, because it was born from eternity. Father, you have walked with me through every valley and over every mountain. And still, my heart forgets. When fear rises, I recall your past faithfulness. I remember how you turned pain into peace, how you made a way where none existed, how you carried me when I could not walk. Memory becomes the foundation of endurance. The same God who brought me through before will do so again. Faith does not need to see the outcome when it remembers the history. There are moments, Lord, when faith feels like standing in the dark with hands outstretched. I cannot see where to place them, yet I know you will guide them to solid ground. That is the mystery and the miracle, trusting before the evidence. Believing before the dawn. Faith teaches me to love the unseen, because the unseen is where you dwell. And when I finally glimpse the light, I realize it was never gone. My eyes were simply learning how to see. God, let my faith not be fragile or conditional. Let it not depend on comfort or ease. I do not want a faith that flees when storms rise, but one that stands unshaken through them. Let my confidence not rest in outcomes, but in your character. You are good even when life is not. You are near even when silence lingers. You are steady even when everything shifts. Teach me to walk in that assurance, not as one who hopes vaguely, but as one who knows deeply. Father, there will be days when doubt whispers louder than truth. On those days, let your promises be my reply. When discouragement says I am forgotten, remind me of the countless times you have remembered me. When fear says I will fail, remind me that grace already declared me whole. Faith is not the denial of weakness, but the dependence on strength beyond my own. It is the quiet declaration, even so, I will trust. Lord, endurance is not simply holding on, it is growing while holding on. It is finding purpose even in pain, gratitude even in the grind, worship even in the waiting. It is knowing that faith's truest expression is not in the miracle, but in the persistence before it. Let my endurance be wholly gentle, humble, unwavering. Let it be the steady rhythm that carries me through seasons when nothing seems to change. God, when I see others struggling to believe, let my faith lend them light. Let my endurance become encouragement for the weary. Sometimes the strongest testimony is not spoken, but lived, a quiet consistency that says, I have seen storms, and still I believe. Make my life such a story. Let it whisper to others that hope is not foolish and trust is never wasted. As the afternoon sun filters through the world outside, its warmth feels different, less like fire, more like assurance. It no longer demands attention, it simply abides. That is what enduring faith feels like, not the spark of a new beginning, but the steady flame that refuses to die out. It does not need to prove itself, it simply continues, day after day, believing that even if nothing else changes, God still remains faithful. Father, help me to live with that kind of faith. Let it shape my tone, my choices, my reactions. When others panic, let me be calm. When the world doubts, let me remain steady. When fear tempts me to retreat, let me advance with quiet courage. Faith that endures does not need certainty to move forward, or it needs only trust. And trust, when nurtured, becomes a sanctuary stronger than any storm. So today, I walk not by sight, but by steady conviction. I do not demand to know the future. I simply rest in the one who holds it. My faith may tremble, but it will not break, because it no longer depends on me, it depends on you. And that truth alone is enough to keep me standing. Still believing, still walking, still enduring through it all. Father, faith may keep me standing, but love is what makes me alive. As endurance deepens, I begin to understand that everything you do, everything you ask of me, is rooted in love. It is not a feeling that flickers with circumstance, but a force that reshapes the heart from within. Lord, this love is not fragile or fleeting. It is fire gentle enough to warm, strong enough to refine. When I open myself to it, I am changed in ways effort alone could never achieve. Lord, your love has always found me before I knew how to look for it. It waded through my rebellion, reached into my confusion, and spoke when I thought silence meant abandonment. I used to think I had to earn it, to prove myself worthy of grace. But love cannot be earned, it can only be received. The moment I stopped performing for acceptance, I began to understand that I already had it. That realization did not make me careless. It made me whole. It taught me that transformation begins not in fear of punishment, but in the embrace of mercy. God, your love does not flatter. It frees. It does not excuse my faults, but redeems them. It does not simply comfort. It calls me higher. Every time I think I have reached the limit of what love can do, you reveal that it goes further still. It restores the broken, softens the bitter, and reawakens compassion in hearts that forgot how to feel. I see now that love is not the end of the journey. It is the atmosphere in which every other virtue grows. Father, when I walk in love, everything else falls into its rightful place. Fear loses its hold because love casts it out. Pride fades because love makes humility beautiful. Anger dissolves because love teaches understanding. I want to live in that rhythm, not reacting to what the world throws at me, but responding from the abundance within. Love does not depend on others deserving it. It flows from knowing I have already been loved without condition. There are days when love feels easy, when kindness comes naturally and patience feels endless. But then there are days when it costs something, when forgiveness feels like loss, when compassion feels heavy, when loving others means confronting pain I would rather avoid. Those are the moments when I see that love is not emotion, but endurance. It is choosing grace over resentment, gentleness over retaliation, faithfulness over convenience. It is not weakness, it is divine strength wrapped in softness. Lord, let me love not only the agreeable, but also the difficult. Let me love those who misunderstand me, those who disappoint me, those who never say thank you. Love is not selective, it is steadfast. Teach me to see beyond behavior into the woundedness beneath it, to remember that every harsh word often hides hurt, and every act of indifference may be a shield against pain. When I love with your heart, I stop seeing enemies and start seeing souls. God, sometimes I forget that love must also extend inward. I am quick to offer others grace, but reluctant to give it to myself. Yet the same love that forgave me asks me to forgive me, too. Teach me to receive kindness without guilt, to rest without apology, to see myself as you see me, redeemed, restored, and radiant with potential. Love is not complete until it flows freely in every direction, outward and inward alike. Father, let my life become evidence of this love, not through grand gestures, but through small constancies, the patience to listen, the courage to stay, the humility to serve. Love does not need an audience. It needs authenticity. It is the unseen act of generosity, the quiet prayer for a stranger, the decision to hope again after being hurt. In a world that often measures worth by noise, let me love in silence that speaks louder than words. Lord, your love is not a concept to understand, but a presence to embody. It is what moves mountains of hatred, bridges divides, and heals generations of pain. It is the language heaven speaks fluently, but the earth still struggles to learn. Let me become fluent in that language. Let every word I speak carry its tone. Let every choice I make echo its truth. Love is not something I perform, it is someone I become when I walk close enough to you. The evening light now bends softly through the window, wrapping the world in gold. It feels like a reflection of what love does. It takes what already exists and makes it glow. Love does not create from nothing. It reveals the beauty that was hidden beneath indifference, fear, or hurt. I realize now that transformation does not happen when I strive harder, but when I love deeper. So, Father, let love be my truest response to life. When the world grows cold, let me stay warm. When others harden, let me remain tender. When words fail, let presence speak. For every miracle begins with love, and every lasting change is born from it. Love is the beginning and the destination, the seed and the harvest, the quiet force that turns hearts of stone into flesh again. And when I love like you love, I know I am truly alive. Father, as I come to the quiet edge of this prayer, my heart feels neither finished nor full. It feels open. Each word before this one has been a step closer to you, a slow unfolding of trust, surrender, and renewal. I realize now that prayer is not an ending, but a continual beginning, a daily returning to the place where my soul can breathe again. You have walked me through fear, through silence, through surrender and love. And now, as dawn brightens the horizon, I feel the promise of something everlasting, a peace that does not fade when the prayer ends. Lord, this journey has been more than words. It has been transformation. In every whispered plea, you have written your answers quietly into my spirit. You did not always change my circumstances, but you changed my sight. You taught me that faith is not built in the thunder, but in the steady rhythm of breathing with you. I came seeking miracles, but the truest one was finding you here in the pauses, in the tears, in the stillness that once felt empty, but now feels sacred. God, as the morning light stretches across the earth, I feel it touching every part of me. You have healed. Every fear you have softened. Every burden you have carried when I could not. I see now that every sunrise is a sermon, its message, simple yet profound. Light always returns. Even after the longest night, even after doubt, even after silence, the dawn always comes. It does not rush. It does not compete. It simply arrives, faithful and quiet, just like you. Father, help me to live from this place, not from striving, but from resting in your love. Let my days flow with the same peace that fills these moments of prayer. When the world pulls me back into noise, remind me that stillness remains within me. When I am tempted to forget, whisper gently, and I will remember that faith is not about holding tightly, but about letting go into your presence. Teach me to carry this calm wherever I go, like a lamp that never goes out. Lord, I want to thank you for every listener, every heart that has walked this path alongside me in spirit. Each one carries their own burdens, their own longing for light. I pray that in these words they have found not perfection, but presence, not instruction, but invitation. Let them feel the warmth of your nearness even now, in the quiet of this final chapter. Let them know that they are seen, known, and deeply loved. Even in their waiting, even in their wondering. To you, my friend who has listened, thank you for staying through the journey, for opening your heart, for breathing through each moment, for allowing these prayers to meet you where you are. Maybe you began this seeking strength, healing, or peace. Perhaps you did not know what you were looking for, but the beauty of prayer is that it finds you even when you do not know how to find it. Every whisper, every pause, Every tear has been heard. You are not alone, and you never were. As you step into the day ahead, may your faith feel lighter, not heavier. May you walk slower. Breathe deeper and see clearer. Let gratitude be the melody of your mornings and hope the rhythm of your nights. When fear returns, meet it not with panic but with prayer. When doubt lingers, remember that light does not vanish, it waits patiently to be noticed. Carry this quiet assurance in your heart. Even when you cannot see the way forward, the one who guides you never sleeps. Father, let these final words be a blessing for those who hear them. Let peace settle like morning dew upon their hearts. Let courage rise within them when they grow weary. Let their love grow softer but stronger, steady as the sun that climbs the sky each new day. May they find your reflection in the ordinary, the laughter of a child, the sound of rain, the warmth of a friend's embrace. Let every moment whisper, you are loved, you are held, you are home. And to every soul listening, may this not be the end of prayer, but the beginning of a deeper conversation. Let this be the morning of your spirit, the quiet awakening of faith that moves beyond words and into living. Speak your own prayers, share your stories. Let others hear how light has touched your darkness. Your voice matters. Your faith, even when fragile, is still powerful enough to move mountains of despair. If this journey has stirred something within you, share it. Leave your reflection, your prayer, your gratitude below. Someone else may need the strength your words carry. We are never meant to walk alone. Our faith multiplies when shared. If this prayer has brought you peace, let it ripple outward. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that morning always comes. And if your heart desires to walk this path daily, to keep growing, keep praying, keep believing, stay with us. Subscribe, share, and return each morning to meet the quiet voice that speaks life into your soul. Let this be not a farewell, but a continuation, a rhythm of renewal that meets you where the dawn begins. For faith is not an ending. It is an ever-rising light. Outside, the first light touches the sky. Brushing the world with gold, the air feels gentle, the wind soft against the face. Carrying the scent of beginnings, the earth exhales, and so do I. The morning has come again, faithful as grace, quiet as love, endless as the God who made it.